Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to our Week 7 online class. First, let me apologize, it's a little late to upload. I've had some technical difficulties with my computer, but hopefully we should be good by now. This week, we'll be looking at unit number 7 in Week 7. We went dancing. Okay, so I hope Monday's class can view this before the class is tomorrow on Monday. This week in class we'll also be doing some review for the test in week 8. So Friday's class, I will extend your class a little bit longer because we didn't have class for Hangul Day last Friday. Okay, so week 7 we went dancing. Now in your textbooks you can see that the grammar focus is simple past. So to that end, I've uploaded on the LMS the grammar outcome for this week's class. Now first let me explain for the test, the learning outcome you'll need to get from this week will be talking about the past. So that means answering and asking questions about last weekend or last vacation or last holiday. The simple past tense, right, we talk about actions that have happened in a time in the past. These actions are completed, which means they don't come back to now. So we use the past tense to tell stories. Right? Last week I went to the park. Or the question form. Question forms will be important for your partners in the exam. What did you do last weekend? Last weekend I went to the past. Now went is past simple. So we talk about a series of completed actions in the past to tell a story. I went to the park. I met my friend. We played soccer. After soccer, we went to a restaurant. We ate sandwiches and we drank tea. Then I went home. And so all that is past simple, event, completed in the past. So I've got some examples here. John sailed to America. My father died. He lived. We crossed. Now these are all regular verbs in English. Now probably one of the most difficult things about past simple is regular and irregular verbs. Now if you have a look on Google, it's very simple to find. Let me just show you. You can find a list of regular and irregular verbs. So simply as I'm doing, you can search up. It gives you a list here. Right, first one. Right. There's many of these lists on Google. You can go through and have a look at any of these. These will be good for your self-study or just to check that you know these verbs and how they change. So regular and irregular verbs. Probably the most difficult thing about past simple, and there's nothing to be done for this except to learn them. So answer, answered. These are regular verbs. Ask, asked. Boil, boiled. Believe, believed. Love, loved. Now past irregular. Began, begun. Broke, broken. Blew, blown. And there's lots of common irregular verbs too, which we'll get to in a moment. But just bear in mind that some verbs are irregular, and you have to know there's nothing much to be done apart from to learn their irregular forms. Okay, so now we use the past simple to say when something happened also. So we use past time expressions. We can use adverbs of frequency that we learned last week in class, often, sometimes, always, with the past simple. Sometimes I walked home. I often brought, bring, brought. So irregular verb. I brought my lunch to school. Buy, bought, right? I often used to buy my lunch. We can use them for definite points in time. Yesterday, last week. Yesterday, I went to school. I studied in the library. And also periods of time, like indefinite time. So in this sense, ages ago or ago is a very useful vocabulary. The other day, I went to school. Ago is useful because we can use it with different time expressions. A week ago, 3 years ago, a minute ago, 6 months ago. Now, the past in English has a very specific meaning, so it's quite different to past in other languages or in Korean language. The past only is for completed actions in the past, right? So we don't use past tense the way it's used in Korean, so be careful, it's quite different. We use it to tell stories or a series of events that happened in the past that have no connection to now. Okay, so patterns for past simple follow like this. Verb plus ed for regular verbs. Right? So, and the negative forms. Did not skip. They didn't skip. Right? So negative form verbs are different. Right? We use did not for negative forms. Question forms, these are closed ones. Did you skip to school? Did you catch the bus to school? Did she arrive safely? Has she arrived yet? So has and have will change the interrogative form. Also, in class time this week, we'll be practicing open forms. So, when did you go? What did you do? How did you get there? Who did you go with? So you have to think about those kind of questions which will be practiced in class. So negative forms, did not, didn't you arrive yet? Didn't you play with them? Didn't you study for the test? Also good question forms in the negative. So these are common verbs, right? This is example, I walked, I didn't walk, you walked, didn't walk. Pretty straightforward. Read through these for yourself. Tricky ones to have, to be, to do, right? I was, right? So these are irregular. You were, he was, right? I had, she had, you had, they had, right? I was in Japan last year. She had a headache yesterday. We did our homework, right? Negative forms. We didn't do our homework. I haven't studied for the test. So be careful of those. I haven't studied. We didn't have time. And also commonly formed irregular verbs in the past. To go, right? So went. So went is and was are very difficult for learners to often grapple with talking about the past. Right? We don't say yesterday I go. Yesterday I went. I didn't go. He was there yesterday. Give, gave. Right? Question form. Did he give you my passport? Come, came. So this is often tricky in Korean for Korean learners as well. My parents came, we didn't come. Okay, so that's the presentation for past simple. Go through and study that by yourselves and familiarize yourself. For the class this week, we'll be, in the first part of the class, looking at the textbook. So when I first broke up the groups in class, we'll be doing this practice conversation. Right? I'll get you warming up. We'll do that very quickly. The class is we've got a lot of material to cover in class, so we'll have to go quickly, move through it. I'll go quickly over the past simple, so it shouldn't be different because it's explained in this video, right? And then we'll work towards questions. So ask questions about the weekend, and there'll be practice about that. To that end, I've also uploaded to the LMS for week 7, a little group, My Last Holiday. We'll see if we can get through this one as well. Oops, what's going on there? Let me just find, and then I'll show you. Hopefully this is a... Oh, still doesn't want to do it. That's strange. Wonder what happened to that. Okay, I'll see if I can find it on LMS. I don't think we need all that open. Okay, so on the LMS, you'll be able to find this material for week 7. So having a look at week 7 material. Yay, here we go. Okay, so we'll run through this as well. There's the answer key, but don't look at that. Right? Think about how do you turn these into questions? When go on holiday? When did you go on holiday? Where go? Where did you go on holiday? So we'll be practicing this with the partners together. And I want you to make up some questions as well. Okay, finally, in the last part of the class, I want to run through a practice for the exam, which will be in week 8. So the Zoom class may be a little bit extended this week in order to get some practice in and to answer questions and to build you up on skills for your exam, for your midterm exam. Okay, hopefully that's all good, and I'll see you in class this week.